Who?
Yes! All I can say is, wow.
Hold on to your butt.
Oh my God!
It's a covenant cleanup. We say stupid things all of the time. It's a covenant cleanup, according to you, an unforgivable crime. Covenant cleanup, sponsored by nobody.
Play around with a bad football team, bad things happen.
Far away.
Shall we begin?
To noon. If you're confused as to why PA sounds a little bit blacker and a whole lot handsomer today, make no mistake about it. The Vikings Vox is still out and about exploring the vast and ever-expanding universe. So I am filling in for PA, I being Maxx Fuller, a.k.a. Tony Fromo, a.k.a. Niccolo Machiavelli, as always. Never leave home without my partner in crime by my side. I am joined by a man that loves wrestling so much he showed up to work in just a Speedo and a championship belt and nothing else. Say his name and he appears. I knew you'd love that one.
Yeah,
in Iowa, they called him the Cornfield Casanova, but in St. Louis Park, we simply call him Triple B, Brett Carl Anthony Blakemore. What's good, Brett?
I believe in the cornfield. Yes. Happy to be here, man.
Happy to be here with you, too, as well, man. We got a really fun show for everybody out there. Brett and I are the absolute last ditch effort when the fan wants to have live and local programming. Every time we are on the air, the list of people who said no before us is as long as all 7 Harry Potter books combined. Our fearless leader and program director, Chad Abbott, tried asking Rosie. You know what Rosie was doing, Brett?
I'm not going to answer that question.
He was busy.
My first 3 instincts for a joke all got rejected by the joke filter.
No. But you were close. I can read your mind. You were close. He was busy doing a photo shoot for the 2024 edition of his annual shirtless fireman's calendar.
Okay.
He's not a fireman, but he does have experience sliding down a pole, so there's that. Wasn't just Rosie, though. Abbott tried asking Lavelle E. Neal III. He actually said yes, but he probably won't be here until 6 p.m. Abbott even tried asking Dan Barrero, the big ticket, to come in a little bit early, but he said his NWA cover band had a gig this morning, so Abbott had no choice but to break the emergency glass that is myself and Brett Blakemore. Happy to be here today. So, Brett, we like to be on the forefront of the sporting news world here at The Fan. We are your sports leader. So yesterday, I go to open up social media on my phone, see if there's any breaking news, trying to see what's going on in the world for the show today, because we're cutting edge here at The Fan. We got to be at the forefront of everything. We're so cutting edge. Sometimes I walk in the door and just chunk of my afro gets sliced off. That's how cutting edge we are, Brett Blakemore.
I see the dent in it. Okay. I was wondering about that.
I'll have to fix it up during the commercial break. I need more trustworthy friends to tell me when my afro is messed up. There's so many times I go to the bathroom and I'm just heartbroken because, the constant on and off with the headphones, it does a number on the fro throughout the day, So I need people to be honest with me. It's not, on a scale of 1 to 10, how's the fro looking right now?
You want me to answer that?
Yeah, I do.
Do you think I know the first thing about how afros are supposed to look? That opens a whole can of worms I don't want to open.
You're not even going to touch it. So just a 10. It's a 10.
It's a 10 because I have no idea what a 10 is. So there you go. Would you ever think about shaving your head just to be in the bit on Sundays.
Just to be a part of the Bald Brothers.
Yes.
I mean, it's like if this was a gang, we'd be outnumbered in these streets. You know what I'm saying? I'd be afraid to walk down the halls of 1600 Utica Avenue. You're bald.
Our newest recruit, Meat Sauce.
Saucy's bald now. And he might be the best looking one of the bunch. Hawk is bald. Robbie's bald. Tenna's bald. Dan Barrero's bald. Yeah. I mean, there's more baldies than people with hair. I'm starting to get a little nervous, but it's a little bit infectious. It looks so freeing.
It's just easy.
Like this afro, it's beautiful. It's amazing. It's magnificent. It shines like a supernova, but it shackles me, Brett. I feel tied down. I feel like I would just feel a little bit lighter if I had no hair,
And also, you could go to sporting events and not feel guilty.
Right.
That's the other thing. Yeah, right. Too.
That's why I have to sit in the nosebleeds aside from me being broke, because I have to do the public a service. If I sit in front of anybody.
You're that guy holding up the sign the whole game.
The whole time.
Yes.
Yeah, standing up the entire game. I refuse to sit down. But hey, like I said before, if you're going to sit behind me, you better learn how to braid hair. If you braid hair, you give your boy some cornrows, it's all good. The problem can be, I've had cornrows before. I've had pretty much every look that a young black man can have outside of dreads. And that's just everybody has dreads. But I've had cornrows. I've had fro hawks. Had a flat top. Hawk. Yeah, the fro hawk. I actually, I don't like to toot my own horn here, much like the common man, Dan Cole, but.
Oh, yeah.
I'm basically the innovator of the fro hawk. Like Chad Ochocinco did it. A bunch of people in the NFL did it, but I did it first. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm an innovator. Cutting edge, like we were just talking about.
That's literally cutting edge.
Exactly, literally cutting edge. So yesterday, Brett, I opened up Twitter/X, began scrolling on social media, but I didn't even have to scroll far because it was the very first tweet I saw. And it left me flabbergasted. I mean, absolutely stunned, amazed, flummoxed. Brett Blakemore, stunned to my buns. I couldn't believe what I was reading. The eternal march that is time came to a screeching halt. If it was a movie, it would have been the moment that you hear a record scratch. And I read the news and I said, this can't be. The top story on my timeline said, the NBA has been canceled.
Oh, no.
I said, exactly.
Above average at that.
I was shocked.
Did they say something offensive?
That's what I was like, did the entirety of the NBA? Is this the cancel culture strike again? I'm like, wait a damn minute. How can this be? Like, I know nobody outside of Massachusetts wanted the Celtics to win, but we can't just cancel the entire NBA. Like, I found myself putting my hands on my hips and shaking my head like a Karen at customer service.
I was wondering why I saw Kevin Fallness this morning blackout drunk celebrating. I was wondering about that, why that was happening.
He was just sleeping in the producer's studio. He didn't even make it home yesterday. He was celebrating so hard. And I said, like we just said, I said, damn it. Millennials are trying to cancel everything. First it was Eminem, and now the NBA. I was so distraught. I forgot that I'm a damn millennial myself. My pearls were clutched, Brett Blakemore.
Yeah.
My mind was lost. The sky was so close to falling, my afro was covered in clouds. But despite the horrific headline I was faced with, I had to read more just to know what was the cause for my favorite league in the world's demise. So I read on, and folks, this is a lesson on reading the entire story and not just the headline, something we all could learn from. Because much to my surprise, the article was not referring to the National Basketball Association. No. It was referring to the highly touted nothing but ass basketball tournament in New Jersey. Which I know means more to you than the actual NBA, so I apologize for bringing this up, Brett Blakemore. I know this is
There's Kevin.
Well, see you later. This is a sore subject for you. But I went on to read the article, and it says the nothing but ass celebrity baddies basketball tournament. This is a real article. Was all set to go forward on July 21st at West Side High School.
Are you sure this is not The Onion?
This is
that
not
your
The Onion.
source?
It was TMZ Sports, believe it or not.
Well, that's not too far away.
It's not too far away, but I mean, they're pretty reliable.
Have you broke the news of Chris Hockey yet?
I have not. I just couldn't.
You couldn't bear
I couldn't bear to do it. My heart couldn't take it. He looked like he was having a good day. Hopefully he's not listening right now. He's going to be in shambles. So the Nothing But Ass Celebrity Baddies basketball tournament, as you well know, Brett Blakemore, it was supposed to go down in Newark, New Jersey at a high school. But after a video promoting the event featured, quote, girls shaking their butts at the high school gym, officials pumped the brakes on all of it. And ooh! We don't know where in the world PA is right now.
No, we don't.
Maybe
he said Colorado.
Yeah,
that's what he said.
That's what he said. But that's exactly what someone would say to lead you off the scent. Could be trying some new Vox opportunities.
Yeah. Speaking of Vox in the Box.
But my thing is, it says it got canceled after there was a video promoting it. What did the school officials think an event called the Nothing But Ass tournament was going to be? I mean, it kind of sounds like they were living up to the name on the tin. The tournament wasn't called Grandma Beatrice's Chastity Basketball Tournament. It was called Nothing But Ass. But when they lived up to the name, the school board wanted everything but ass. And don't get me wrong, y'all. I don't think anybody's disagreeing that they probably shouldn't be having a cheek-centric basketball tournament in a place of learning. You can't really be like twerking in the same gym that kids are playing freeze tag in.
You have the big tent. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The
Exactly.
rainbow-colored tent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
You can't be shaking your groove thing with your buns out in Mr. Johnson's geometry class. You know, that's just, you can't do that. But what did the school officials think that a Nothing But Ass tournament was going to be? I'm just so confused at how this got approved anyways. And I just have so many questions about the logistics of it all. Like, was the whole tournament going to be played in their skivvies? That would seem like there would be some logistical errors there. So a lot of potential for injury.
Maybe they thought it was, Future Farmers of America club event, and they had a bunch of donkeys there.
Maybe.
Yeah.
They must have. Because clearly they weren't prepared for the promo video. I'm still curious. I hope this finds a way to move forward, which I will offer up 1600 Utica Avenue, by the way, as the new home of the Nothing But Ass tournament. If they want to host it here, I'll be more than happy to provide some vocals. But again, was the whole thing going to be played just in underwear? Because that's kind of what it sounds like. Because, that changes everything. If someone says someone else is flopping during the Nothing But Ass tournament, that could have multiple meanings.
Well, I guess how far does nothing go?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's a good question.
Nothing?
That is a philosophical question, too. How far does nothing? Nothing. Nothing but ass. And it's B-U-T-T, by the way. N-A-Z-Z. So
of course it's AZZ.
It's AZZ.
Why would I think it's ASS?
Right, exactly.
Serves me right. That's why I don't critique how your fro looks every day. Because I wouldn't know the first thing.
You don't know anything about the format.
No, I don't.
I just have so many questions about this Nothing But Ass tournament, but we simply don't have enough time, Brett Blakemore, to analyze it all. So I hopefully we can get to the bottom of this, and hopefully the good people at the Nothing But Ass Celebrity Baddies basketball tournament can find a new home that is away from a high school, because that seems to be a logistical error on everybody's part. I don't really understand how this even got approved in the first place, but I'll be curious to follow up on the story. If you got any questions, hit the 646 text line. Call us 800-320-5326. We'll try to answer any of your questions about this Nothing But Ass tournament. This is the People Show here on KFAN, and we want to hear from you. You, the lovely listener, our favorite listener, are the real star of the show, so make your voice heard. There's a plethora of ways to do so. And you know what, me and Brett are in, we like to be men of the people, so we want to hear from the people. We're going to do a whole segment, a brand new segment called The People's Portion, where it's basically, if you're familiar with the Ask Us Anything, Ask Me Anything on Reddit, it's basically an open forum to ask us anything and everything about working at the Fan, about sports, about life, romance. You want to slide in Brett's DMs, but he hasn't checked his message requests yet. Whatever
Applications
you want.
are open. I'll just say that.
Whatever you want to ask us, we will do a segment of the show called the People's Portion. So get your questions in now. Text us 64686. You can call the Holla hotline at 1-800-320-5326. And Brett Blakemore will answer the phone like the adult phone line operator he has always aspired to be, and he'll take it from there. You can shoot us an email, booth@kfan.com, or even send us a talkback on the free iHeartRadio app. Tap that little microphone icon and give me your best 30 seconds. Hopefully you haven't heard that phrase in any other context lately. We got a super fun show planned for y'all today. We got Heather Rule of MN Hockey Mag coming on at the bottom of the hour to talk about a Stanley Cup Final that is all of a sudden really interesting after the Oilers have won 2 straight and could force a Game 7 tonight, by the way. Puck drop is around 7 o'clock, and you can hear all of that action along with any other Stanley Cup game if there is a Game 7 right here on KFAN. We got Richard Crazy Legs Coron. Hopefully I rolled the tongue the right way on the pronunciation of the last name. Coron joining us today. He's one of the OG innovators. He's basically one of the people that invented breakdancing, and a lot of people don't know that breakdancing is actually the newest addition to the 2024 Summer Olympics. There will be breakdancing competitions at the Summer Olympics. So I want to talk to Crazy Legs about the evolution of the art and sport of breakdancing. Plus, we got Tom Schreier of ZoneCoverage.com coming on around 11 to talk Twins, Vikings, Gucci Mane, gangster rap. He's a gangster rap aficionado. We'll talk about all of that and more. Plus, me and Brett Blakemore will be hanging out, answering your questions, taking your texts, taking your calls, whatever you want to talk about, just holla at us. But around the corner, we're going to talk about a new report that says the Wolves could be interested in a very famous son. We'll talk about that and more around the corner. This is 9 to noon on The Fan.
5 years in the making, Root Party is back in person. Join us for the return of Root Party Friday, July 19th at Forgotten Star Brewery in Fridley. Coming out with all your favorite fan personalities, play your favorite fan games for great prizes, enjoy live music from the Chris Hockey Band. Don't forget about the great food and drinks all night long. Get your full details now, KFAN.com, keyword party.
To noon is coming back at you live and local here on KFAN. Maxx Fuller here alongside Brett Blakemore on a rainy day in the Twin Cities. There's no sun to be seen today, but a different kind of sun may soon shine here if reports are to be believed. Bronny James, a.k.a. LeBron James Jr., the son of LeBron James, by the way, in case you guys didn't know that, LeBron James Jr., if there's any confusion with the name, has been the subject of a lot of scrutiny since declaring for the NBA draft about a month or so ago. I think people mostly fairly have wondered aloud if Bronny really has what it takes to be as drafted as high as some scouts are anticipating, which is, somewhere in the middle of the second round. Or a lot of people are mostly just wondering, is it because he's LeBron's kid? And LeBron himself has expressed interest in playing on the same team as his kid many, many times now. He's kind of walked that back a little bit because there was teams like, the Utah Jazz are interested in Bronny James. And LeBron was like, okay, hold up. I'm not going to just any team that drafts Bronny. But, he said a lot of times that he wants to play on the same team as his kid. So I think a lot of people assume that it's going to happen. But, on the other hand, optimists, and I think even Bronny himself, would say that he could evolve to be a Derek White-like player, a role player kind of guy that impacts winning in huge ways, as we just saw recently in the NBA Finals. The Celtics, straight up, they just don't win the NBA Finals without a guy like Derek White. They don't have as successful of a season as they've had without a guy like Derek White. So if Bronny James could be that, that would be a wildly successful career. Nobody's expecting him, or at least should be expecting him, to be anywhere near as good as his dad. Only a handful of players ever have been. I mean, anybody that's ever picked up a basketball, you can't just say that they're going to be as good as LeBron James. He's one of the 2 or 3 best players of all time. So why am I saying all this? Well, that's because NBA agent extraordinaire Rich Paul, who has clients like the aforementioned LeBron James and Bronny James, said in a recent interview that your Minnesota Timberwolves, quote, love Bronny. Now, I know Saucy won't be happy about that, but he's worked out for several teams, including obviously the Lakers, where LeBron plays right now. He's worked out for the Suns as well. But the Wolves were among a handful of teams named, such as the Raptors, the Mavericks, that have interest in drafting Bronny. Rich Paul, his agent, sounded really reluctant to have Bronny drafted by the Wolves, saying he doesn't know who the owners are going to be, which, I mean, that's fair to say, but, you know, luckily for us, Rich Paul doesn't necessarily get to choose where his clients go. The Wolves actually do have a pick this year, a pair of them, because it's an every other year bid with the Rudy Gobert trade. So last year we didn't have one. This year we do at pick 27. We also have a second rounder at pick 37. And if it's true that they're interested in Bronny James, I say if he's still there at 37, maybe probably not 27, we'd like to get the heir apparent for Mike Conley maybe late in the draft, find a serviceable point guard that could maybe take over that starting role for Mike Conley in the future. But if he's still there at 37, why the hell not, Brad?
Can I ask a dumb question?
Yeah.
Does that guarantee that LeBron is going to play for the Timberwolves?
Well,
that's the talker, right?
That's exactly.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm saying is like, yeah, LeBron is, I think he's sort of more so walked back saying that he's going to go wherever his son goes because of the perception of it. I think in his heart, he obviously still wants to go play on the same
What's
team.
the perception of it?
Are you being sarcastic right now?
No, I'm being. I don't know what. I don't get it.
Well,
He's done it all. Let him play with his kid.
Everybody's hating on it. You know, like just saying it's nepotism. That's the only reason why we're talking about Bronny. That's the only reason why Bronny's getting drafted. Blah 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 blah. But I say if you basically, I mean, that's a lottery ticket to possibly get one of the best players of all time, maybe the best player of all time on your team. So even if Bronny doesn't pan out, how often do second round picks pan out anyways in the NBA? I mean, there's not that. I mean, me and PA looked up a list about a week or so ago. You know, there's guys like Draymond Green and Nikola Jokic and stuff like that, but that's extremely rare to find someone that's going to make a noticeable impact on the success of your team in the second round. So why not get a guy like Bronny James if you could possibly snag LeBron freaking James? And I don't care if he's 38, 39, 40, or 50. He's still playing at a super high level. And he's LeBron James. He's going to put asses in seats. Which, I mean, the Timberwolves don't need any help with that.
You think bring your ass was a thing before.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Exactly. The Target Center is already a tough ticket right now. It's going to get even tougher if LeBron James comes into town. And I mean, imagine, like, the storyline of it all. LeBron James, aging NBA superstar, face of the NBA, passing the torch to Anthony Edwards, the new face of the NBA, all the things that he could teach the Wolves, all the things that he could add to the Wolves. And like I said, we're looking for a point guard. I don't know. LeBron James seems like a pretty damn good point guard to me. I know a lot of people, we brought it up on Worst Case Scenario, the show that we do on Sundays, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And everybody else in the room disagreed with me. They didn't want anything to do with LeBron James. They did not want him on this team, thinking that, you know.
I think I abstained.
You abstained. You did abstain. But a lot of people are like, oh, you know, the ego. He's going to want the ball all the time. He's going to be trying to.
Media circus.
Yeah, exactly. The media circus. But I mean, first of all, we can't say we're flyover country, but then we don't want media attention at the same time. I mean, we can't do that. And I don't think LeBron wants to be the guy anymore. I think for the Lakers, he has to be the guy. I think they got a guy like Anthony Davis not only to help LeBron, but to carry the offensive load for the Los Angeles Lakers, which he just hasn't been able to do on a consistent basis throughout their time there. I mean, obviously they won a championship there. Good for them. But I think objectively anybody can say Anthony Davis has not had a super successful stint with the Los Angeles Lakers because of just consistency issues. I don't think LeBron at age 38, 39 really wants to be putting that load on his shoulders night in and night out. So joining a team like the Timberwolves that's got Karl Anthony Towns, that's got Anthony Edwards, that's got Jaden McDaniels and Rudy Gobert, I mean, it's kind of a perfect fit, Brett Blakemore. I'm all for the Wolves getting Bronny James. And not to mention that Bronny himself, again, talking about he wants to have a career like a guy like Derek White. I mean, how awesome would that be to have a guy like Derek White coming off of the bench? A guy that can come in, make an instant impact on offense, play some serviceable defense. Again, nobody's expecting Bronny James to be the second coming of LeBron James, but if he could be a Derek White, if he could be a Jamal Crawford, even, like half of what Naz Reid is to us, that's still a really good pick. And we have the possibility of maybe convincing LeBron freaking James to come to Minnesota. And I mean, come on, LeBron, you've done it all. You've won all these championships in all these different places. Why not come to the quote unquote losing his franchise in NBA history and bring them to the promised land? LeBron, I mean, that's the perfect ending to the 30 for 30 series someday that we're going to get about LeBron's life. The perfect ending is the passing of the torch moment between him and Anthony Edwards, and LeBron James winning the Timberwolves their very first championship. You support it, Brett Blakemore?
Sure. Who do you think sells more jerseys?
Oh, man. Now that would be a competition. Woo-wee. It's got to be Ant-Man, though. It's got to be Ant-Man, though. I think it's got to be Ant-Man, though, man.
Oh, my gosh.
He really just lit the whole world on fire. I think a whole different kind of audience is going to be tuned into Timberwolves games next year, because Anthony Edwards is the kind of guy that, there's people out there that are like, I'm a LeBron fan, and they've been Cavaliers fans, they've been Heat fans, they've been Laker fans. They'll go wherever LeBron goes. I
know this is like a modern thing, but like following players to me just feels weird. I can't get behind it.
Yeah, it is
like being a fan of a player. Like you see that a lot in football, where like I'm a Messi guy, and wherever he goes, that's my team.
Right.
I don't know, just weird to me. I can't get behind it.
It is a little odd when you consider that like you could be hating, just absolutely like foaming at the mouth, hating a team one day, and then the next day your guy is on that team. Yeah, and everything. You take back everything that you said. I mean, that's kind of how I was with Rudy Gobert, slandering the hell out of him when he was part of the Jazz, and then he comes here. Oh, he's the greatest. He's one of the greatest defenders of all time. Of course, that's natural, but I totally get what you're talking about. But in general, I just think Anthony Edwards is going to bring a whole different kind of audience. He's the kind of guy that electrifies people, that young people look up to, that are, I mean, we always talk about him posterizing people, but they're literally posters of Anthony Edwards in the youth walls all across America. And he's going to bring a whole different audience to this Timberwolves team in this upcoming year. Super excited for that. But who knows? NBA draft is right around the corner. You could see LeBron James Jr. in a Minnesota Timberwolves jersey. It'll be certainly interesting to see how that shakes out. Either way, the Timberwolves pick 27th. Hopefully they can get the point guard of the future. I'm sure we'll touch on that eventually once the NBA draft gets a little bit closer. But around the corner, we're going to talk to Heather Rule about the Stanley Cup Final. Game 6 is going down tonight, 7:00 p.m. Puck drop. You can hear all of the action right here on the Fan. We're going to talk to Heather about all things hockey coming up next.
Save the day for the 34th annual Polo Classic. The preeminent polo event in the Twin Cities is back Sunday, August 4th at the Twin City Polo Club. You can find out more at KFAN.com, keyword calendar. KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Maxx Fuller here, filling in for PA on 9 to noon alongside Brett Blakemore. Don't forget, next hour we have the People's Portion, a new segment that we're introducing that we get the listeners involved. Text us 64686 or call us 800-320-5326. Ask us anything in the whole world, and we will try to answer it, obviously within FCC guidelines, because I know some of y'all are going to get a little wild with your questions. Brett, you're a big fan of philosophy. I always catch you in the studio reading Plato and whatnot. So you're familiar with 21st century philosopher, ladies love Cool James.
Yes. No. Maybe.
LL Cool J.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
You may know him as better as LL Cool J. And 21st century philosopher, ladies love Cool James, once said, "Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years." That's gotta be how the Oilers are feeling, fresh off of back-to-back wins against the Panthers. And suddenly they are in a position to force a Game 7 with a win in Edmonton tonight. Puck drop is around 7 p.m. and you can hear all of the action right here on FM 100.3 KFAN or on the free iHeartRadio app. Our next guest covers hockey at such an elite level. She's just racking up all types of journalistic awards like she's Daniel Day-Lewis during Oscars season. She talks puck in a variety of different venues, including MN Hockey Magazine, where she is the editor. Everybody, please welcome Heather Rule to 9 to Noon. Heather, how's it going?
Good. That's quite the introduction. Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Of course. Yeah. We called you up to talk hockey, obviously, but scrolling through your timeline on Twitter, you're a woman of multitudes. I scrolled like one time and you're talking about baseball. You're talking about basketball. You're talking about your favorite local gentlemen's clubs. Okay. I made that last one up, but all different kinds of stuff. And obviously you're an award-winning hockey journalist, but from what I can gather, your favorite sport is actually NASCAR. Is that accurate?
Close. IndyCar racing,
okay.
Actually, that's kind of one of my favorite sports that I've liked since I was a kid. My dad has always loved Indy 500 and IndyCar racing, and I've been to the Indy 500 a few times, been to some other races. So I love racing.
That's awesome. I've been thinking about getting into racing lately just because there's not a whole lot going on in the summer. There's baseball. Obviously, I love baseball and everything like that. But I've been thinking about getting into racing, and NASCAR just seems so fun. I tried it with F1. I just couldn't do it. I like Drive to Survive. I like the show and everything, but I just couldn't do it. NASCAR just seems like it's a whole lot of fun. Who's somebody I should root for if I'm going to start watching NASCAR?
NASCAR. I don't know the drivers as much as NASCAR, yeah, but Scott Dixon, I will tell you, in IndyCar is my favorite.
Okay.
So, Scott Dixon in IndyCar. Yeah, he's the Iceman, as they call him. He's amazing.
All right, I'm going to have to keep my eyes open for Scott Dixon, just like I'll keep my eyes open for Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight down in Edmonton, 7 o'clock puck drop. And in the first 3 games of the series, Heather, Sergei Bobrovsky, he was like a bulletproof vest. I mean, he was stopping every single shot. And after the last 2 games, he's looking like, I don't know if you've ever seen Scarface, but he's looking like Tony Montana at the end of Scarface. He's just absolutely just getting shot on left and right. The Oilers have scored 13 goals in the last 2 games, and not all of them were on Bob, but that's partially because he got pulled early on in the second. What's been going on with Sergei Bobrovsky over these last couple of games?
Yeah, that's a good question. The game 4 where he got pulled. I mean, I was out and about and kind of keeping an eye on the game, and every time I would look up, there was another goal by Edmonton. So, I think a lot of it had to do with Edmonton is just, they kind of woke up a little bit offensively and were just pouring on the shots for sure. And Connor McDavid especially, is really just the playmaker that he is, scoring goals and the assists that he's getting. But I think, Bob has to be a little rattled a bit after these last couple of games, especially that one getting pulled. I think that's one for Florida for sure. You just, kind of just throw away a little bit too, because as many goals as you give up, it still is only 1 loss, 1 game. So I think he needs to obviously come up big, and the deal is too now, the pressure goes back to Florida so much with Game 6. That's kind of what I love about the playoff series, and the deeper you go. And now Florida hasn't closed it out twice. They had to go back to Edmonton, and the pressure is back on them, even though Edmonton still has 2 games that they have to win. It's, they're, I think, playing with a lot more confidence right now, and, the pressure's back on Florida.
Yeah, 100%. Like, obviously the Panthers are only, 1 win away from winning their first ever Stanley Cup final. But to me, it feels like Edmonton's the one that's in the driver's seat right now. I mean, they have all the momentum right now, right?
Oh, for sure. Yes, I totally agree with that. I think, Florida, if they wanted to close it out at home, they really would have wanted to do that in the last game, because they do not want to go back for a Game 7. I mean, they want to go back home, obviously, after the long flight after Game 6, but I don't think they want to get this to a Game 7. I think, Florida wants to get this wrapped up if they can. But I think Edmonton, like you said, they're playing freer now. They have the confidence. McDavid is, a couple of 4-point games. He's feeling it. And, one of the things I love that I think he said it after Game 2 is, it's supposed to be hard. It's, and they were down 0-2, which wasn't entirely surprising either. I mean, the first couple of games in Florida, and I think coming in, they kind of snuck by Dallas a little bit in the conference finals, and I think Edmonton has, they're feeling it a little bit more, and especially now in front of their home crowd, and they're trying to do something that not many teams have even forced a game 6, I think, in NHL history,
right,
being down 0-3. But you kind of, that's what I love. You kind of look at it game by game as you get in these deep playoff runs. You can't look at it as, we have to win 4 in a row. It's, you win 1 game and now they won 2, and now you're back home in front of your fans, and obviously you have to win, but, I think they have all the confidence. At the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if Florida, takes care of business, and because they do not want to, get it back to a game 7. And, I think I saw something like 6 of the last 8 teams that have won the Cup have won it on the road.
Damn.
So I think, home ice advantage sometimes can be tricky in the playoffs, because sometimes you do maybe feel more pressure being in front of your home fans. But yeah, I would give the edge to Edmonton. I think, I really, and who wouldn't want to see Game 7 as a hockey fan if you don't have a dog in the fight necessarily? But I think Edmonton has the momentum.
Hey, Heather, Brett here. One of my kind of feelings throughout the series is that Florida has the better team, but Edmonton has the better stars. And you've talked about McDavid, who now looks like the generational talent that he is, especially the last couple of games. Do you feel like, because with that, given that, at least in my opinion, that Florida is more of a complete team, do you think it's McDavid fully on his back carrying the team, or do you think the entire Edmonton Oilers team is really sharing the weight and getting back to it, or is it just the Connor McDavid show?
I think it's the Connor McDavid show in the sense that he obviously had to, kind of step up and carry things a bit, for sure, more than the rest of the team. And those first couple of games that they were shut out, I think, they got 1 goal in game 2. And that was kind of the story too. Like, McDavid, if Draisaitl, if they don't step up and start scoring here, I mean, this is going to be over really quickly. So I think I think you're right. I mean, it definitely is kind of, superstar versus the complete team of Florida. But, you obviously need everyone to kind of contribute, and, you got players finishing the plays, McDavid makes on the ice too, but I think he's, without a doubt, kind of the big reason why this series is still going on.
The other thing that I want to talk about is, usually at this time of the year, it's always referee and officiating controversy. And, I can't believe they made this call. And I can remember one that was an embellishment on the trip. I think it was in the 3rd period on Tkachuk, if I remember correctly. But overall, it really hasn't been a talking point. Is that just go to show how good of a series it was? Or do you feel like they finally kind of figured it out, they've got a good officiating crew? What's the officiating in this series been like for you?
Well, I mean, and I haven't, watched every minute of every game of the series so far either, but I kind of like that it hasn't been a talking point, like you said. It's, I think that can be a step in the right direction, because you don't want to have, games coming down to like, there was this really bad call or this and that. So, I think it's good that that's not something that's being talked about, and it's kind of an opportunity for the players to shine, whether it's, in goal, whether it's McDavid or whether it's Tkachuk, kind of letting them, dictate play and being able to show, okay, he's, the winning team on the ice is going to be because of what they can do and not because of certain calls they're getting.
Talking to Heather Rule, editor of MN Hockey Magazine, about all things Stanley Cup. Heather, obviously, we've mentioned Connor McDavid several times. He's widely considered to be the best player in the world. Wasn't making as much of an impact in the first 3 games as he had over the last 2. I believe he has something like 8 points over the last couple of games, which I think I saw on the ticker on the TV that said that's the most in Stanley Cup Final history. What's been the biggest difference in his game between the first 3 games and the last 2? Like, what is Florida playing him differently defensively, or is it just you can only contain the best player in the world for so long?
I think it's you can only contain him for so long. I mean, eventually he was going to, find his game. I think to keep him shut down and shut out for that long, for a whole series was going to be really, really difficult. And they were, even though they lost game 3, I think, it wasn't one that was completely out of reach for them either. But yeah, I think he's just really stepped up his game, and just, the mentality and, the quotes I've seen from him in the interviews, and, again, just saying, things like, he can't wait to see what, the team is made of, that kind of thing. It's supposed to be hard. It's not supposed to be easy to win the cup. I mean, they made it this far. You need 16 wins to do it. And it's, it's not over till it's over. So I think just the attitude that he's brought, and just kind of the fight he's shown on the ice, and just offensively what he can do. There's still things, I think, like when we watch Kaprizov with the Wild. I mean, there's things that these type of players do that they still surprise you, and there's still things they do on the ice that's like, oh man, like I didn't see that coming, or I didn't know he could do that. So I think he's really just kind of stepped up his game.
Well, it'd be nice if Kaprizov had Draisaitl behind his back too. That'd be really nice, but that's a story for another day.
For sure.
If you were to come from the Panthers' perspective, let's say for fun that there's a Florida Panthers fan listening, which you never know, there could be. What would you tell that Panthers fan to sell some hope, and what do they got to do to finally close out this series and win their first cup?
I think for them, they got to just kind of get back to their game, and, like you mentioned too, just the kind of the team depth that they have, and, relying on each other, and, what's got them, everything that they've done so well to get them this far already, and to realize that, hey, they are still in the driver's seat, even if momentum has shifted, and just kind of that motivation of, we don't want to, kind of make history in a bad way, and, and getting Game 7 going. They have the players. They want redemption from last year. They've, been in this spot before, very recently. So, I think if they kind of get back to what they are good at offensively and defensively, hopefully Bob can have a better game too. But, even the other night, they almost, kind of had a comeback in that game, and they almost erased the deficit that they had. I think, to me, as they say, the first goal is a big one. I think getting the first goal, scoring early, would be huge for Florida in this one, just confidence-wise. You don't want to kind of give Edmonton that early momentum. But, I think, just for Florida, just reminding that, hey, they still lead in the series, and you just kind of have to look at tonight. You can't look at, okay, we lost 2 games, we're on a losing skid here. You just got to look at tonight.
Talking to Heather Rule, a couple more questions for her. If the Panthers do find a way to close it out tonight, who's the MVP? I think obviously unanimously everybody thought it'd be Bob after the first 3 games, but after the last 2, do you think it's different, or would you still say it's Bobrovsky?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, after the last games, I don't know if it can be Bob. Tkachuk, just I think offensively and what he's done. Barkov as well. Maybe one of those 2 guys. I think just the production offensively, what they've been able to do. I would say if someone has a really good kind of outstanding individual performance tonight, that could go a long way too. But yeah, Tkachuk is definitely up there.
So what's your personal prediction? Do you think the Oilers take it to 7? Do you think they win tonight, or do you think Florida closes it out and wins their first Stanley Cup?
Yeah, it's kind of a tough one. I mean, I'd love to see a Game 7, and I'd like to see it going into it too. I think I'd like to see Edmonton, McDavid, kind of raise the cup, and he is such a superstar and one of the best players. It's because if you would ask me, I mean, I thought, before the last game that Florida would have closed it out, and they didn't. To me, it was kind of interesting how similar the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup Final were, with just, both series done 3-0, and then the other team kind of clawing back really decisively in that next game. And we saw what happened with Boston and Dallas. But, I'm gonna go ahead and say Edmonton forces the Game 7.
Let's
I
go.
think they've got the momentum, and with McDavid if he can have another great game, I think they'll force Game 7.
I do as well. It just kind of seems like they're feeling it right now. They remembered who they are. I'm not an elite hockey mind. This is basically the first hockey playoffs that I've ever been kind of locked into, but it's so much fun. And now that Edmonton's actually making it a competitive series, so hopefully that they can get it done. I don't care who wins at the end of the day, but I just want to see a Game 7, because who the hell doesn't want to see a Game 7? More pertaining to local interests, Heather, the NHL draft is right around the corner. What do you think night one? Is it a 2-night affair or just a 1-night thing? It's a 2-night thing? What does night one for the Minnesota Wild look like in your opinion?
Good question. I have not studied the draft yet, so I've still been focused on hockey season. I think just overall, though, I mean, it's, as everyone looks at, they're still kind of handcuffed with the Freeze and Suter deals. So, that's kind of the big news for at least another year. Yeah, unfortunately, it is. But fortunately for us that we get someone like you to cover hockey locally here. Thanks, Heather. We appreciate you for hopping on. We'll have to have you on again sometime. All right. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
good to talk to you.
That was Heather Rule of MN Hockey Magazine, the editor of MN Hockey Magazine, talking all things Stanley Cup. What's your prediction for tonight, Brett Blakemore? You're an elite hockey mind. Do you want to see a Game 7? Do you think there will be a Game 7?
Well, I've said Panthers in 6. Since day one. So I'm going to stand behind that and go Panthers in 6. I don't want to see a Game 7, but only because I have a really good friend who's a Panthers fan. So I want to see them win the Cup. Yeah. He was there at Game 5. So I was like really pulling for them to win. So you could see them lift the Cup right in front of that's the stuff dreams are made of.
Opposite. Could absolutely
they almost did.
Obliterate. It was a lot of fun, man. That save at the very end. Was it Kachuk that made that? Oh my God. Hockey's so much fun, man.
It is.
I'm really getting into it. It's been a lot of fun to watch this playoffs, and I kind of like Heather was saying. I kind of the NHL was kind of leaning over the NBA's shoulders, copying their homework a little bit, but they decided to take it a different route. Now there is a Game 6.
Did I tell you what my friend's shirt he was wearing that Game 5?
No, what it said?
It said, Kachuk around and find out. That's what it said.
Genius.
Yeah.
We'll see if Brett Blakemore's close friends and the rest of the Florida Panthers fans down south will be celebrating tonight. Game 6 goes down at 7 p.m. You can listen to all of the action right here on the Fan. Second hour of 9 to noon is right around the corner, and we're going to start it off with a very special guest. The 2024 Summer Olympics will feature breakdancing for the very first time. We're going to talk to one of the OG innovators of breakdancing, Richard Crazy Legs Caron, around the corner. This is 9 to noon on the Fan.